G'day everyone, I'm David Reedy. Welcome to Piano Finally, a podcast by an old bloke who's getting around to learning the piano. Finally. Welcome to show 35. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. If this is your first time hearing the podcast, I hope you enjoy what's here. If you're a returning listener, then thanks again for coming back. If you're learning the piano or another musical instrument, let me know how you're going with it. You can contact me at david@pianofinally.show. It's been a busy week. The new students started arriving at school on Tuesday and the others returned on Wednesday. So there's been a lot of meeting new students in my classes and welcoming back some that I taught last year. I said last week that 6 weeks holiday is about long enough, and although there was a lot going on, getting back to teaching was quite enjoyable. I didn't get quite as much practice done this week as I would have liked. My every 2-year MRI scans meant a fair bit of time lying still in strong magnetic fields. They went smoothly, and there's nothing wrong, they're just for monitoring. It's frustrating, though, the way life sometimes gets in the way of practicing. I caught up with some more piano on Stage Plus. This week, I watched a concert by Yuja, Wang and Víkingur Ólafsson, recorded last year in Berlin. It's a concert of pieces for 2 pianos, with works by Schubert, Rachmaninoff, and more modern composers, including John Cage, Pärt, and John Adams. It's an interesting collection of music, quite different to the Chopin and other piano works I've been listening to, but I can certainly recommend it. I noticed that Yuja and Víkingur approach the mechanics of their playing differently. Both pianists have scores at the piano, rather than playing from memory. Víkingur has printed scores and a woman page turner. Yuja has an iPad with a wide foot pedal. I wonder which is better. I've heard stories about iPads going wrong, so I suppose a printed score is more reliable, but I assume it's much less expensive than employing a page turner. Have any of you had experiences with either option? Let me know. Like all the content on Stage Plus, the concert is excellent, and both pianists appear to be enjoying themselves greatly. It's nice to hear some music outside the pieces I would normally choose. There's a link in the show notes. Generally, I don't think much of the algorithms that suggest content, but YouTube has been doing a good job recently. Maybe that's because I have YouTube Premium, which is ad-free, and so the algorithm is less interested in pushing ad-supported content. But the music-related videos it has been suggesting have been mostly really interesting. This morning, as I was sitting down to write the notes for the podcast, it suggested a video from the Aspen Music Festival and School channel. The Aspen Music Festival and School is an annual 8-week music school that takes place over the northern summer. The school is open to pre-professional musicians and seems to include just about every instrument there is, and voice. The YouTube channel is a mix of performance videos from their students, and there is a wide variety of music in these performances and in other videos looking at the school and the people's experiences in music. Like some of the other channels I've been watching, these are a really great insight into the lives of up-and-coming musicians. In most of the performance videos, there's also time spent talking with the performer about the music and their approach. Although there is a fair bit of piano, that's certainly not all. If you've wondered about mariachi music, there's a video looking at the school's mariachi festival. It really looks like a fun place to be. There are also many recordings of masterclasses conducted by leading musicians on a wide variety of instruments. The video that was suggested to me was one in which Daniel Trifonov and Sergei Babayan were talking and rehearsing. They're working through some 2 piano pieces for a concert at the school, and they have pieces by Rachmaninoff, Schumann, Bach, Mozart and others. The video opens with them rehearsing Rachmaninoff's Suite No. 2 and talking about their performance. Sergei is Daniel's teacher, and it is clear from their interactions that they have worked together over a long time. It's fascinating to see a world-class pianist still interacting with his teacher, especially how they talk about their performance ideas. It's not just Daniel and Sergei, though. Sergei talks about his teacher, Vera Gornostaeva, and what she taught him. As a teacher, I particularly enjoyed seeing these two, where the student has grown into such a successful career. I've seen this happen with some of my students too, and it's great to see Sergei's obvious pride in Daniel's success. There's so much more to music than just the notes, and the videos on the Aspen Music Festival and School channel are great at showing us this, and they're really entertaining. If you want something light, watch their video on a day in the life of a practice room. Links are in the show notes. Curiosity. I was introducing my new Year 7 class to the science course this week, and I told them that the most important attribute of a scientist is curiosity. So much of science has come from someone observing a phenomenon and wanting to understand it. Why do apples from trees across the laneway fall downwards? What are those fuzzy objects in the sky I can see with a telescope? Curiosity isn't limited to scientists. I think musicians need a good dose of it too, especially those of us who are learning. All of us encountered music well before having the ability to understand it. Babies get sung to all the time, so knowing that music is just a part of growing aware of the world around us. Because I was brought up in Australia, all the music I was exposed to early on was Western in origin. It was pop and rock on the radio, and European classical from the musicians I knew. That was the music that sounded right. I accepted most of it at face value, and when I first learned the guitar, it was learning mostly by rote, without understanding why things were the way they were. That was fine when I was 10, but now I want to understand why. From what I can gather, there are two main ways to be curious about music. There's curiosity surrounding what the composer of a piece is trying to convey, which will then inform how to perform the music. Watching musicians talk about their approach to the performances, whether in the recent Chopin competition or in interviews around other recordings, is a step to satisfying that curiosity. Or at least it would be if anyone was certain. I found out a bit about Chopin's music from all the material from the National Chopin competition. But one of the key items was that Chopin said that he didn't compose program music. His music was absolute and didn't represent anything concrete. This hasn't stopped pianists putting their own interpretations on the work to satisfy their curiosity about Chopin's ideas. I have nowhere near enough knowledge about the lives of composers to even attempt to give reasons for their choices. So I've been limiting my curiosity to why some things seem to work in music and other things don't. I'm curious as to why a major triad and a minor triad are so musically distinct when the difference is just one semitone. I can work out the different resulting waveforms with physics, but that doesn't explain the different feelings they evoke. Physics doesn't explain why the 18th variation in Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini is so sublime. There must be some reason. I'm curious to find out why, and understand the rest of the theory that goes into music. Curiosity keeps me learning. I recently bought a textbook about orchestration. It comes with a workbook. I looked at the first quiz and can't answer any of the questions, so there are lots of new things to learn, in addition to how to transfer them to the keyboard. I can't wait to get started. Music Notes is an online source of sheet music for piano, guitar, voice, and other instruments. Started in 1998, they claim to be the world's leading digital sheet music retailer, and from the amount of material that there is on their site, that's believable. I've listened to the Music Notes people talk about their service on their podcast, Behind the Notes, where they explain their business model and how they work with composers and arrangers to produce the music on their site. Given that they have deals with almost all the major publishers, you can be sure they have the correct rights to be selling the music. That's becoming increasingly important. With the rise of AI-generated content and the number of dodgy operators on the internet, making sure that the correct people are getting properly paid is something that all of us have to be aware of. I'm not going to list the music available because it's all there. There aren't complete orchestral scores, but I couldn't think of a solo piano piece that wasn't listed. And it's not just piano. There are scores for woodwinds, brass, strings, voice, and guitar. It's almost a one-stop shop. Music Note also has complete books, many of which are interactive. I'm still going to suggest supporting your local brick and mortar music store if they have stock, but this is a pretty good way to source music if that's not an option. All their electronic material is usable on Macs and PCs via the web and apps, and on iOS and Android devices. You can pay for each item you download, but there's also a membership that gives you access to one piece of music a month at no additional charge, and discounts on the regular price of other scores. Membership is US $15 a year without the free music, and US $50 a year with the free music. Both plans give you the discounts though. You can browse the entire site and see samples of every piece if you want to work out if it's for you. Music Notes also has a self-publishing section, which I won't cover now. I want to go through their material for that. There's a lot to it, including them helping getting clearances if you're arranging copyright material. I'll do a proper review of their marketplace in an upcoming episode. One other thing that Music Notes has on site, and it's free, are files for manuscript paper. If you want some standard staff paper, that's there. Just download the PDF and print as much as you want. There's not just ordinary staff paper though. If you want grand staves for piano music, it's there. Piano and voice, that's there too, as are sheets for piano duets. And if you're a dulcimer player, there's manuscript paper for you too. You'll find it all in their website's More section under the free sheet music item. There's a link in the show notes. Well, that's it for this week. If you'd like to contact me, email is the best way. You'll find me at david@pianofinally.show and the website at www.pianofinally.show. In both cases, Piano Finally is all one word. The show is also on Facebook and Instagram and available as audio only on YouTube. You can subscribe via any popular iOS or Android podcast application or from directories such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. I also post an excerpt and a link to each episode as an Instagram reel. If you're learning an instrument, let me know where you are in your journey, what's going well, and what challenges are you finding. And so, until the next episode, I hope your piano stays in tune and you enjoy your time at the keys. I'm including the same two pieces and exercise again in this week's progress. The first piece is the Bagatelle in F by Daniel Gottlob Turk. It's a List B piece in the Ansgar book. The second piece is Afternoon Snooze by Andrew Craggs from the Ansgar Preparatory List C. I worked through this piece in my lesson last week, and Debbie showed me how I should be moving between chords in the left hand. The correct technique is to briefly hold one of the notes that will be released when playing the new chord. It's taking a lot of coordination, and I'm still very much working on it. It certainly makes the music sound more connected than the way I had been doing it. So I've been spending a fair bit of time on just the chords. I'm still on exercise 1 of Czerny Opus 599. It's going smoother now that I've explicitly written all the fingerings on the score. All the recordings were made using the Choir NV10 as the keyboard and Pianotech 8 running on the M4 Pro Mac Mini. Pianotech is set to a Steinway Model B in player mode. I had to look up the difference between the Model B and the Model D pianos from the last couple of weeks. The Model B is a bit over half a metre shorter than the D and is obviously more suited to smaller spaces. Can you hear the difference? I can't.